The parish of Saint Elizabeth is one of the parishes that provides evidence to prove that Christopher Columbus did not discover Jamaica. Welcome to Parish Profile Saint Elizabeth.
Down in the south, where the sun always glows, Saint Elizabeth got stories only locals know. From Black River crocodiles to the mountains high, Elite Jamaica gives the reasons why. Bamboo Avenue where the green lanes blend, fast-paced history never seems to end. Sugarcane fields where the tales are told, rich past and futures yet to unfold. Alex on the mic with the vibe so clean, exploring the parish where the roots run deep and green. Come join the journey with Elite Jamaica, every corner got a story like a reggae fantasia.
Located on the southwest coast of Jamaica, Saint Elizabeth is an area steeped in history, myth, and complex narratives. Founded in the 17th century and named after Lady Elizabeth Modyford, the wife of Jamaica's first governor, Sir Thomas Modyford, the parish has grown into a diverse and agriculturally rich area. But beyond the official accounts and the names, the deeper history of Saint Elizabeth is layered with perspectives that challenge traditional narratives about its founding and its people. Often referred to as the breadbasket parish, Saint Elizabeth covers approximately 1,210 square kilometers, making it one of the largest parishes in Jamaica. It is located in the southwestern region of the island, within the county of Cornwall. The parish is bordered by Manchester to the east, Westmoreland to the west, and St. James and Trelawney to the north. It is also framed by the Santa Cruz Mountains to the north, which run parallel to the coastline, and the Nassau Mountains to the east. These ranges not only contribute to the parish's varied landscape, but also influence its agricultural productivity, as the fertile plains below the mountains are ideal for farming. St. Elizabeth's location within Cornwall places it among the 5 parishes that make up this historic county. The history of St. Elizabeth. You see, in the official version, we are told that Christopher Columbus discovered Jamaica in 1494, and later that enslaved Africans brought by the Spanish and English were the roots of the Maroon communities that resisted colonial rule. But here at Elite Jamaica, we do not buy into those stories. Who really discovered Jamaica when the Tainos were already here? And did all the Maroons really descend from enslaved Africans? Or could some of them have already been on the island, long before European ships darkened its shores? In this profile, we'll dive deep into the story of Saint Elizabeth, not just to recite facts, but to examine the grey areas of history and myth. As we walk through time, we'll take a critical eye to the narratives we have been handed down. So buckle up, because this isn't your high school history book version of Jamaica. Pre-Columbian times, a Taino legacy overshadowed by colonial myths. Before we get into the discovery of Jamaica by Christopher Columbus in the late 15th century, and yes, I use the word discovery loosely, let's not forget that long before Christopher Columbus got lost at sea and stumbled upon this island, the Tainos were already living here. They were the island's first known inhabitants, thriving in areas like Pedro Plains and around Black River. Their pottery, tools, and petroglyphs tell a story of a people who understood the land and the sea, and whose culture has left its mark, even though we hear very little about them today. When Columbus allegedly found the island in 1494, what he really discovered was that he was late to the party. He didn't land on an empty island. He stepped into a thriving society that had been here for centuries. But like all good colonizers, he definitely ignored that fact. For years, this narrative that Christopher Columbus discovered Jamaica has even been taught in schools, despite the absurdity of claiming to discover a land that was already inhabited. But here at Elite Jamaica, we know better. This is why the Taino heritage is such an important part of the story of Saint Elizabeth. Though Columbus's name often overshadows them, the Taino's legacy is embedded in the soil of this parish. In places like Pedro Bluff, you can still find evidence of their existence in caves and archaeological sites. These are silent reminders that the first Jamaicans were here long before Columbus or any European had even heard of the island. Their knowledge of agriculture and fishing laid the foundation for the region's development, a knowledge that was tragically suppressed after the arrival of the Europeans.
Over here we have a joint that's been here for over 3,000 to 5,000 here, right here.
What?
Yeah. This one, right here.
Yeah.
Right. This is worth a lot of money. It's not supposed to be cut out. We had a bigger one right over here. Let me show you the section project.
I'm looking.
Sorry guys, we had a bigger joint right over here. That's archaeology came and said 3,500 here, and that's a replica. And this one was much bigger, and somebody came and cut it out. It worth a lot of money.
Significant archaeological discoveries have also unearthed Taino middens, offering a glimpse into the lives of the island's original inhabitants. Middens are ancient refuse heaps, typically made up of shells, bones, pottery fragments, and other discarded items, which provide valuable insight into the Taino's people daily activities, their diet, and their social structure. These middens, found in areas like Pedro Plains, are evidence that the Taino lived in Saint Elizabeth long before the arrival of European colonizers, relying on fishing, hunting, and agriculture. The remnants serve as a testament to the deep ancient roots of Jamaica's earliest people and highlight the rich, often overlooked pre-Columbian history of the island. The Spanish era and the arrival of the Maroons, a complex heritage. When the Spanish arrived and decided to take control of the island, they brought with them cattle and other livestock, establishing the first European-run farms on the Pedro Plains. But they also brought diseases that decimated the indigenous Taino population. And let's not pretend that the Spanish were just innocent settlers looking to make a living. Their occupation was marked by brutality and enslavement of the native people, a fact conveniently omitted in many of the more romanticized versions of history. But the Spanish didn't last long. By the mid-17th century, the English, like a jealous neighbor, pushed them out and took over the land. They weren't much better though. In fact, their occupation gave rise to one of Jamaica's most enduring yet complex groups, the Maroons. And here's where things get tricky. The Maroons, we are told, were made up of Africans who had escaped from enslavement on sugar plantations and farmed free communities in the mountains, resisting colonial rule. But not everyone in Jamaica buys this story. There are those who believe that some Maroons may have been here long before the arrival of Europeans, descendants of earlier African traders or explorers. The narrative that all Maroons were once enslaved Africans overlooks the possibility that Jamaica's history, much like the rest of the world's, might have involved migrations and settlements that we know little about. Some people argue that Africans were present on the island before the Europeans, making the Maroon story even more layered than what's written in the textbooks. Accompong in the Cockpit Country remains one of the most famous Maroon communities to this day. It's where the Maroons famously signed a peace treaty with the British in the 18th century, allowing them autonomy in exchange for their cooperation in hunting down other runaway African slaves. And this is where the controversy deepens. The Maroons, seen as heroic freedom fighters by some, are viewed by others as traitors who collaborated with the British to suppress slave rebellions. So let me know in the comment section, were they liberators or collaborators? Like much of Jamaica's history, the truth is more complicated than a simple narrative of good versus evil. The sugar economy, boom, bust, and the legacy of the plantations. As the Maroons were establishing their own communities, the English were hard at work turning Saint Elizabeth into one of Jamaica's largest producers of sugar, cattle, and logwood. The Holland Vineyard and the Fuller's Wood plantations became sprawling estates worked by thousands of enslaved Africans. These estates grew rich off the backs of human suffering, as enslaved people toiled in the fields under brutal conditions. By the 18th century, Saint Elizabeth had become a key player in Jamaica's sugar economy. But here's the irony. While the sugar industry made some European settlers fabulously wealthy, it also sowed the seeds of rebellion. The more the plantation system expanded, the more enslaved people fought against their oppressors. One such instance occurred at the Fuller's Wood plantation in 1831, during the Christmas Rebellion, also known as the Baptist War, where thousands of enslaved people in western Jamaica rose up against the plantation owners. The rebellion was ultimately crushed, but it sent shockwaves through the British Empire, hastening the abolition of slavery in 1834. Fuller's Wood, like many other plantations, would go on to decline in the post-emancipation years, and while sugar remained a critical part of St. Elizabeth's economy well into the 20th century, its role would never be as dominant as it was during the days of the plantations. Modernization and the introduction of electricity. A bright future ahead. Fast forward to the late 19th century, and St. Elizabeth was making headlines for an entirely different reason. In 1893, Black River, the parish capital, became the first town in Jamaica and one of the first in the Western Hemisphere to have electricity. This was thanks to the entrepreneurial Leiden brothers, who brought modern technology to what was then a bustling port town. With its electric street lights and the new telephones, Black River was a symbol of progress in a country that was still largely rural and underdeveloped. But for all its modern conveniences, St. Elizabeth was still a place where tradition and history loomed large. By the early 1900s, the parish was becoming famous for something other than sugar, logwood. The logwood industry, which produced dye for the textile industry, became a major economic driver. In fact, logwood exports were so valuable that by the early 20th century, they had surpassed sugar and coffee. But like all booms, this one had a bust. Synthetic dyes were invented, and the logwood industry collapsed, taking with it a large portion of the parish's wealth. The 20th century: fire, floods, and bauxite dreams. The 20th century saw its share of dreams and disasters for St. Elizabeth. In 1903, Black River suffered a devastating fire that destroyed over half the town, while flooding in Newmarket in 1979 caused unprecedented damage, leaving parts of the parish underwater for weeks. But it wasn't all doom and gloom. In 1943, St. Elizabeth became the site of one of Jamaica's largest bauxite mining operations, run by alumna partners of Jamaica, Alpart. The discovery of bauxite, an essential component in aluminum, promised to bring wealth and jobs to the region. Alpart and other mining companies transformed St. Elizabeth's economy, and for some time it seemed that bauxite might replace sugar as the parish's economic backbone. But bauxite, like sugar and the logwood before it, proved to be a boom and bust industry. Environmental concerns, fluctuations in global demand, and political instability all took their toll on the industry. Alpart closed its doors in the 1980s, reopened in the 2000s, and closed again in the 2020s. Today, the future of bauxite in St. Elizabeth is uncertain, and many wonder if the parish will ever find a truly sustainable economic engine. Notable persons from St. Elizabeth. St. Elizabeth has given birth to so many of Jamaica's most celebrated individuals, whose contributions to the island's history and culture are significant. The Honorable Roger Clark, born in Saint Elizabeth, was a dedicated public servant who made significant contributions to Jamaica as Minister of Agriculture from 2012 until his passing in 2014. He also served as Mayor of Black River and was Member of Parliament for Northeast Saint Elizabeth between 1991 and 2007. Dr. the Honorable Barbara Gloudon, born in Malvern, Saint Elizabeth, is a renowned communication specialist, playwright, and journalist. Her influence on Jamaican media and culture is profound, making her one of the country's most respected voices. The Right Honorable Sir Donald Sangster, born in Saint Elizabeth on October 26, 1911, was a solicitor and politician who went on to become Jamaica's second Prime Minister. Though his time in office was brief, his impact on Jamaican politics remains noteworthy. Dr. the Honorable Alfred M. W. Sangster, born on July 24, 1929 in Saint Elizabeth, was a pioneering educator and the founding president of the University of Technology in Jamaica. His leadership in the field of education has left a lasting mark on the nation. Una Maud Marson, born on February 6, 1905 in Santa Cruz, St. Elizabeth, was a trailblazing feminist, activist, and writer. She became the first black woman to work for the BBC, breaking barriers for both women and people of color globally. These outstanding Jamaicans represent the spirit of resilience, leadership, and innovation that Saint Elizabeth continues to inspire. Saint Elizabeth is also home to numerous places of historical and natural significance that reflect the parish's diverse heritage. The Ipswich train tunnel, built in the late 19th century as part of the expansion of the Jamaica Railway, stands as a haunting relic of the island's industrial past. Lacovia, the first capital of Saint Elizabeth, is rich with colonial history and was a thriving trading hub in the early 17th century. Alligator Pond is another historic fishing village, providing a glimpse into the island's coastal lifestyle. Lovers of nature are drawn to Wyess Falls, one of Jamaica's most beautiful and accessible waterfalls, discovered in the 18th century. The famed Bamboo Avenue, created in the early 20th century, is a picturesque 2-mile stretch of towering bamboo groves planted by the Holland Estate. These sites, each with their own unique stories, offer visitors a chance to step back in time and connect with the historical fabric of Saint Elizabeth. Saint Elizabeth is a parish of contradictions. It's a place where the Tyo Legacy exists alongside the story of European conquest, where maroon villages sit just a few miles from farmer plantations, and where modern technology, like electricity, arrived before many people even had access to clean drinking water. Its history is not a simple story of progress, but a complicated narrative filled with booms and busts, heroes and villains, and above all, resilience. In 2024, Saint Elizabeth remains one of Jamaica's largest and most agriculturally productive parishes, but its future, like its past, is uncertain. While the parish continues to thrive agriculturally, producing much of the island's vegetables, fruits, and livestock, there are still many questions about its long-term economic sustainability. The bauxite industry, once a beacon of hope, has largely faded, and new industries like tourism and eco-farming have been slow to take hold. What remains constant, however, is the spirit of the people of Saint Elizabeth. They are survivors, much like their Maroon ancestors, whether they were escaped enslaved people or indigenous to the land. The people of this parish have weathered centuries of colonial exploitation, economic upheaval, and natural disasters. Yet, they remain some of the most hard-working and determined Jamaicans on the island. Over the past 16 years, particularly under the present government, Saint Elizabeth has seen notable development. The town of Santa Cruz has grown into a bustling commercial hub, with expansions in retail, transportation, and housing. Black River, known for its rich history, has also experienced infrastructural upgrades, including road improvements and revitalization projects aimed at boosting tourism and preserving its heritage. Investments in water systems, schools, and healthcare facilities have contributed to the parish's overall growth, such as new 24-hour health centers in Malvern and Pedro Plains, making it a key area for development in Jamaica. However, Saint Elizabeth's future may lie in the hands of a new generation, one that looks to blend the old with the new. There are efforts underway to tap into the parish's rich cultural history to boost tourism, highlighting the area's natural beauty, historic sites, and the unique blend of African, European, and Taino heritage. Perhaps the stories of Saint Elizabeth, the real stories, will finally be told, not just to tourists, but to Jamaicans themselves, who continue to wrestle with the legacies of their past. And as we look forward, it is important to remember that history, especially in Jamaica, is not set in stone. Whether we are talking about Columbus's so-called discovery or the origin of the Maroons, these narratives are still being shaped and debated. And maybe, just maybe, that's the way it should be. After all, history is written by the victors. But in places like Saint Elizabeth, the truth is still waiting to be uncovered. So let's remember that the story of Saint Elizabeth is not just about what happened in the past, but about how we understand and interpret that past today. The truth, as always, is more complicated than what the textbooks say. So here's to Saint Elizabeth, a parish where history, myth, and reality blend into a story that is still unfolding. Saint Elizabeth is more than just a parish on Jamaica's southwest coast. It's a place where layers of history and culture collide, where Taino roots, colonial struggles, and modern development meet. From the ancient middens of the Taino people to the electric streetlights of Black River, the parish offers a journey through time. But Saint Elizabeth is not just about the past, as it faces an uncertain future with industries like bauxite in flux. It remains a symbol of resilience and transformation. Through the highs and the lows, it continues to stand as a testament to Jamaica's complex, layered, and ever-evolving story. If you found this video interesting or informative, or if there's something you have learned from this video, please let me know in the comment section down below. And don't forget, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't yet subscribed to Elite Jamaica, please do so by clicking that subscribe button. Because at the end of the day, only 35% of you are subscribed to the channel. Thank you for watching. Stay blessed.
Down in the south, where the sun always glows, Saint Elizabeth got stories only locals know. From Black River crocodiles to the mountains high, Elite Jamaica gives the reasons why. Bamboo Avenue where the green lanes blend, fast-paced history never seems to end. Sugarcane fields where the tales are told, rich past and futures yet to unfold. Alex on the mic with the vibe so clean, exploring the parish where the roots run deep and green. Come join the journey with Elite Jamaica, every corner got a story like a reggae fantasia.